Crucial 13, you are appreciated. Shout out to you.
Get crucial.
I'm hungry. I need some bacon.
Look at this. Look at it. This is the city I'm in right now. Okay, so if you haven't heard by now, the universe is bringing up a lot of shit on the Titanic, okay? It's like, I don't know if any of this has anything to do with each other, but for some reason, Titanic this year has just been a subject of matter. I'm talking about between Leonardo DiCaprio testifying against Barack Obama. We all know he starred in the movie Titanic. Yeah. 2012 election interference and money laundering and all that other type of shit. Then we got this submarine that went missing, and they were going to take a tour to look at the Titanic, okay? Now we got J.P. Morgan, who, you know, was supposed to be on the Titanic, but the actual Titanic, but did not go. You know, and there's a lot of people that say, oh, there were people on board of that ship that were, you know, opposing the Federal Reserve. So J.P. Morgan, who was with that shit, decided to stay and say, hey, you guys just go. Then after that, the Federal Reserve started and all this, and then they created, you know, the paper money and everything. But let's start off here. Everybody knows that I am a fabulous reader, okay? Best reader on earth. Says, did you know the man who funded the building of the Titanic, J.P. Morgan, canceled his long-awaited journey just hours before its proposed departures? Three of the wealthiest men on earth, whom were against the creation of the Federal Reserve Bank, happened to be invited aboard for its maiden voyage. John Astor, Isidor Strauss, I read that perfect, and Benjamin Guggenheim. I don't know how to say it. It then headed full speed into an unknown iceberg field with less than half the required lifeboats. Okay, so they purposely said, here, we need to make sure some people don't make it, okay? No red signal flares, no Rothschild or Rockefeller on board, and sank to the bottom of the North Atlantic Ocean less than a year later. Now that the wealthy opposition was out of the way, the Federal Reserve was created, and USA was turned into an incorporated business with its own business ID number 28 USC 300215. Okay, and we talking about, I remember in 1913, some things with the Moors, and you know, a whole bunch of people became property of the, we ain't even gonna get into that. Then, you know, of course, somebody fact checked this. Of course, I'm a liberal fact checker. Said, while it is true that J.P. Morgan owned the Titanic and did not sail on its doomed maiden voyage, there is no evidence to suggest he deliberately missed the trip because he knew the ship would sink. Historians have debated several reasons for Morgan to cancel his trip, but none is related to the Federal Reserve. Of course not. Of course not. His fucking wife didn't let him go, all right? We all got them fucking wives that just don't let us leave. Was planning this fucking trip for years, and then she just decided to have PMS. Completely logical. Yeah, I get it. Shut up. And you know, they say right here, the Rothschilds sank the Titanic to set up the Federal Reserve. The Titanic was purposely sunk to kill 3 billionaire men on that ship who were independently wealthy and opposed to the creation of the Federal Reserve. They were murdered because they had the power and money needed to stop the Federal Reserve from becoming a reality. Now, on this little submarine that went missing, there was billionaires on there. That a lot of people related to the WEF. Check out my video, the rabbit hole on the whole OCEANGATE conspiracy. Check it out. Then, you know, 14 years before the whole Titanic thing happened, they wrote a book that predicted it perfectly. Now, on to what we're here for. Salute to Curious Rabbit at Apocalypse Barbie. Definitely go follow her Twitter. She's like putting out a lot of information right now. She's definitely the MVP behind these videos I've been making. All right. Now, it says right here, J.P. Morgan Chase is fined by SEC after, quote unquote, mistakenly deleting 47 million emails. Wow, who's in charge of their damn internet servers? Hillary Clinton? Jesus. Now, you know, this is about to get spicy, but it says New York, June 22, Reuters. This is a Reuters article. JP Morgan Chase has been fined $4 million by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. That's what SEC is. After about 47 million emails belonging to its retail banking group were mistakenly and permanently deleted. Were they acid washed? Hillary? The emails dated from January 1st to April 23rd, 2018, and were deleted in June 2019 from about 8,700 mailboxes, including those belonging to as many as 7,500 employees who regularly worked with customers. Many of the emails were business records that the largest U.S. bank was required under SEC rules to keep for 3 years. The deletions occurred after JP Morgan's corporate compliance technology department, which had been trying unsuccessfully to delete some communications from the 1970s and 1980s, sought help from an outside vendor managing the bank's email storage. According to a cease and desist order, the vendor failed to properly apply the 3-year retention setting to Chase emails from early 2018. As a result, the troubleshooting exercise permanently deleted all of the emails in that domain from that period, which were not subject to legal holds, the order said. JP Morgan, which is based in New York, did not admit or deny wrongdoing in agreeing to the civil settlement. It has adopted its own email coding procedures to avoid a recurrence. JP Morgan takes its record-keeping obligations seriously, the bank said in a statement. Of course they did. I mean, they take it so seriously, they accidentally, quote, deleted millions of emails. This is how serious they take this. So put some respect on that. According to the SEC, JP Morgan has been unable in at least 12 civil securities related regulatory probes to comply with subpoenas and document requests for communications that had been permanently deleted. Now go follow Dina for Justice at Dina_truth. Okay? She says, when is the SEC going after FTX and Primary Bank for money laundering? And liberals or some people might say, why did the government have to money launder and all this other type of shit? Ain't that criminal shit and all that? Well, they gotta have some type of record on why they're getting all this money from their, trafficking and illegal business deals and corruption and all that shit. Just like how Hunter Biden, he became Picasso all of a sudden, a world famous painter getting millions for his paintings. When he really, his paintings look like my 5-year-old nephew drew the shit. No disrespect to him. It's pretty good for a 5-year-old. But he gets all this money because they have to, have a front for why all this other money is coming in and where they're getting this money from and all that. So, hey, here, I drew a coloring book. That's where my money came from. So in essence, Hunter draws a stick figure on a piece of paper. Some asshole comes along and says, hey, I want to buy that for $1 million. He says, here, give me the money. Here goes your picture. But in reality, they're really doing some corrupt, shady business deal behind the scenes. They just needed some type of front to write off the money. So here goes. And I use this tweet because it gives very good context to what I'm trying to say here. When are you guys going to be honest and talk about how Ukraine's most profitable industry is their underground farm selling babies and children for sacrificing and rituals, and you cut up the less attractive ones to harvest their organs and blood for that word that we cannot use? You then place a code for wheat and sell around the world. You treat them like farm animals, a commodity. Then somebody says, Jacob Conterio says, the people aren't ready for that level of disclosure, but it's coming. This is why a lot of people think that, the parenthood thing and the and all that type of stuff is one big black market scheme. And, this is all entertainment. Nothing in this video is fact. This is just what people say. So yeah, who knows? This is all just entertainment right here. Nothing is to be taken serious. None of this is fact. Who knows if JP Morgan and all these banks or whatever, are they involved in human trafficking or anything like that? Who knows? You know what I mean? This is all conspiracies. But, we do know that, based on your birth certificate, and shout out to the Moors that taught me a lot about this, we're all property and being traded within this country. You know what I mean? We're all like prisoners of war type thing. It goes deep. So there's definitely, you know, a bad problem in this country with these things that's going on with the traffic, all that type of stuff. And you know, there's also an issue with us being reduced from our sovereign status in the nation, in this nation, because you know, in every nation there's two statuses. There's either you're sovereign, you can govern yourself, or you can't, because you're not in balance, you're not in harmony. A lot of us is taken out of that. We're talking about so-called black people, so-called white people, so-called everything. Everything is, you know, based on sovereign or not sovereign. You know what I mean? And we're all pretty much like slaves or property to the corporations. And who knows? Who knows if these people had anything to do with the things that's going on right now? Who knows if the emails they deleted pertain to a lot of that type of stuff, or anything that goes back to even the Titanics and all. Who knows what this shit is? I don't know. But we will be doing a follow-up on this. Anybody that got any information, leave it in the comment section and let me know what y'all think up in the comments. I ain't woke, I'm up.
Crucial 13, you are appreciated. Shout out to you.
Yeah, crucial.
I'm hungry. I need some bacon.
Look at this.
Look at it. This is the city I'm in right now.